Okay, guys, it's Thursday, and we're on the final step for your essay draft. So hopefully you guys have either finished writing your essay or you're just about to finish, all right? But before you go to the final step, you want to go back through it and edit anything that needs fixing using our edit strategy. So let's look at that. The E is for your 3 E's: evidence, examples, and elaboration. If you notice, there is a number 2 in parentheses for each E. That means you have to have at least 2 per body paragraph. So as you are finishing up on your drafts, make sure that you have 2 pieces of specific evidence, meaning at least 2 quotes directly stated from the text within each body paragraph. Make sure you have at least 2 examples within each body paragraph, and make sure you have at least 2 sentences where you elaborate and talk a little bit more about your topic. So then when we move to the D, that stands for different sentence types or sentence variation. That just means different sentences. So first, you have to make sure the first bullet says ask at least 2 questions. So you want to make sure you have a sentence or some sentences that ask questions. Make sure you have at least 2 bold statements somewhere within your essay. Make sure you make proper use of commas. So that means if you're listing some things in your essay, make sure the different ideas are separated with that comma. Then quotation marks and underlined article titles. Now, as I went through grading some of your writing plans, I noticed that some of you didn't even mention the title of the articles in your body paragraphs. So if you're one of those people that made that mistake, please go back and correct that area on your written writing plan, because if you do it on your essay draft, you're going to lose major points. So quotation marks and underlined article titles. Please make sure you state the name of the articles within your body paragraphs. If you have the name of an article stated in your introduction, it is not correct. So please make sure you fix that. Last in this area for the letter D is just a reminder that you are to have simple, compound, and complex sentences. You are in 4th grade, so you should not have an essay that is completely comprised of just simple sentences. Remember, a simple sentence only states one idea. A compound sentence is just like your thesis statement. It states at least 2 ideas. And remember, it is bound together by that conjunction word and. And of course, a complex sentence is just what it sounds like. It's a difficult sentence. It kind of implies or states many. It can have several ideas. Most of the time, a complex sentence is going to consist of an independent clause. Remember those sentences that can stand alone. And then dependent clauses, which are those parts of a sentence that are dependent on something else in the sentence to actually be considered complete. So just making sure that you have all 3 of those. So the next section is the I, which stands for incredible focus. Please make sure that you maintain the point you made in your thesis throughout your entire essay. Do not start out talking about how wonderful drones are and then get to body paragraph number 2 and tell me how awful they are. That's not maintaining your focus. If you want to talk about the downside or the opposite of whatever you stated in your thesis, you want to save that for your conclusion. Because remember, there is a section in your conclusion where you can actually, depending on what type of paper you're writing, and in our case, it's an informative essay, you can briefly mention the other side of the factual information, like the downside of it there. The next section is T, which stands for the text structure. So just like we study text structure in school, it's the same thing with your essay. The text structure has to be correct. You have to have at least 4 separate paragraphs. That means I need to see an introduction, a body paragraph number 1, body paragraph number 2, and a conclusion. Make sure that you indent each paragraph because that's also a point taken off if you do not. Now, sample essays. Let's review. We're going to look at how I actually grade your writing. And we do that in order to get a good understanding of what I'm looking for in an academic essay. So you guys really need to see how that grading process works. I'm going to show you a little something today. I'm not going to show you the full grading process because I want you to take this time to kind of look over your essay and look at your rubric on your own. But here's an example of what I use to help grade your actual essays. All right, this is what we call a student essay writing rubric. Now, I use this to assess whether or not you have all the required information in each section of your essay. There is a copy of this posted in your Files tab online for you to review before turning in your essay. When you actually go into the general classroom and click on File at the top, it's in the folder that's titled Class Materials. All right, so let's look at the student essay writing rubric. The first section is your introduction. That is worth 20 points total. Topic sentence is worth 5 points. Background is worth 5. And your thesis is worth 10. If you are missing any of those, you will be missing those points. Body paragraph number 1 and body paragraph number 2 are both worth 30 points each. Here, your topic sentence is a little bit more fancy because it includes the name of the articles that you're referencing. So it's worth a little bit more here. It's worth 10 points. And so is the information that you'll include from your mini point A and mini point B. Those are worth 10 points also. Moving down to your conclusion, that's worth 20 points. Remember, there are 3 parts to a conclusion in an academic essay. You have the restatement of your thesis, that's 3 points. You have a counter argument if you're doing an opinion paper. But remember, we are not doing an opinion paper. We're writing an informative paper. So you are looking at your fact statement. So what you're doing is giving the opposite view of your fact statement. It's kind of like a counter argument, but we're dealing with facts. So we're not trying to convince of anything. So just make sure you briefly in the opposite view based on the facts that you've read. So for example, in our essays, we're talking about how drones could change the world, possibly for the better, right? So when you get to this section, the counter argument, if we were writing an opinion paper, you would be trying to convince your reader about the other side of the argument. You would then state the downsides of it. So it's the same thing in an informative paper. You are going to use the facts that you read to say, hey, let's talk about what could potentially be a negative side of this topic or this issue. Finally, your refocus statement. A good writer always brings the reader back to whatever the original point was from your thesis statement. Look at your points. If you're missing any of those, this is also a major area on your essay. All right, at the bottom it says, in addition, you can lose points from each area making the below mistakes. Please make sure you run a spell checker. Have an adult or someone to show you how to do that. In fact, in my video tomorrow, I will show you how to run the spell checker on your essays. You can miss points for that. If you miscapitalize, meaning you capitalize a word that's not supposed to be capitalized, or you do not capitalize a word that's supposed to be capitalized, you can miss points. No sentence variation. That means I don't see simple, compound, and complex sentences. If the structure of your essay is incorrect, meaning you don't have your paragraphs indented, you don't have 4 separate paragraphs, that would be considered incorrect structure. No indenting, again, minus 1 point if it's only maybe done in one section. If you have punctuation errors, that's taking away points. And also, again, I restated capitalization errors. Sometime when you guys are typing, you may have one letter that's capitalized and it shouldn't be. So just look over those things and make sure that you thoroughly review each section of your essay. The big thing today is to just follow instructions, and you're really being critical and looking over everything yourself. So the question is, what now? All right, here's the thing. Today's task is super simple. Look at the writing rubric and make sure that you have all the parts that are needed to make the highest points possible on your essay. It's broken down into sections, so you shouldn't have a problem there. And the most important thing I need you to understand, and this is how I can tell if you actually watch the video or not, do not submit your essays to me today. Today is Thursday. I don't want them. I will not grade them. If you submit it to me today, I'm going to automatically return it to you with a failed grade on it, okay? The reason I don't want you to return it to me is because you still have one more writing video tomorrow. I have to show you one last thing before you actually submit your essays. And we're actually going to look at a student essay so that you guys can see how I actually go through and grade it. All right, so go ahead, get started, jump into those essays. If you have any questions, just hit me up with a post. Today is Thursday, so don't forget I have a lot of meetings today. Happy writing.